Starting your own practice is hard for many chiropractors. It's riddled with both struggles and successes. But here at the Chiropractic Philanthropist, we make it easy by having chiropreneurs and entrepreneurs share their struggles and lessons learned in life and business so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. And now here's your host, Dr. Ed Osborne.
What is it that trips up your office? Finding new patients, retention, teaching about holistic wellness, or is it patients who can't seem to kick poor health practices? As a business owner, a wellness practitioner, a teacher, a mentor, often an emotional support, as chiropractors, we have a lot to carry. Let Mahalo Wellness carry some of the burden. Mahalo Wellness CBD oil products are the one small change that can change both your clinic revenue and jumpstart your patients' crave to begin healthier living. Try all Mahalo has to offer to determine what is receptive in your clinic. Special pricing on 10 bottle and 20 bottle bundles. Head to mahalowellness.com/collections/TCP-podcast today.
All right. Okay. So, hey, welcome everyone who is viewing or listening today to the TCP podcast. I have an incredible guest today, and that is actually Dr. Cliff Tao. How you doing, Doc?
I'm great. How are you, Ed?
I'm excellent. I was just saying to you, before we started recording, I've been up, since 5:30 this morning doing conversations, video recordings, and all these things. So I really want to bring the energy today. And I was actually really excited for this call. I like to say I was actually really excited for this call, this interview, because, I find actually, number one, I think your branding is like really, really cool. And how you've actually made it made Xray, you made it like really interesting and actually kind of fun. So
yeah, it's kind of hard to do that, but I'm still trying.
Yeah, no, I think you're doing a good job. You're accomplishing it. So before we get into the conversation, why don't you tell us a little bit about you? Tell us about you as the chiropractor, but also as the doc bar as well.
Oh, okay, sure. So I guess going way back, I didn't know what I was going to do out of college. I went to Waterloo in Ontario, and I did kinesiology just because I liked, oh, look at that, my light just turned off. I like kinesiology just because I like the human body and anatomy and stuff like that. And I had a few friends that went to chiropractic school right after college, or university is what we call in Canada. And I was like, I never really considered that. I've never been to a chiro myself, and my dad is a medical radiologist, which I'll get back into later. And he didn't have anything against it. He just, he was more like, I have no idea what they do, but sure, go ahead, go to chiro school. So I talked to my few friends that were going. I took a couple of years off before I went to chiro school, so I went to chiro school. I loved it, most parts of it, not everything. And then while I was there, I realized they had like a radiology option at the end. It's another 3 years while you're in debt, so not ideal. But I was like, hey, this is kind of cool. And I talked to my dad, and he's like, yeah, these chiros, I don't know what they do. I've seen x-rays from them, and they have all these lines on it, and he doesn't know what they are. I mean, he just reads them as he would normally read them for any other doctor, medical or chiropractic. And he's like, yeah, whatever, if that's what you like to do. That was more his thing. You got to find something you enjoy doing. And, I just found it fascinating. I loved human anatomy, and to be able to see kind of, through the body, and it would only take like a second of exposure of an x-ray, and you get to see all this stuff. I thought it was, I still think it's just so fascinating. And that's how it started. Well, that's how it kind of came to be. So people are like, it must be your dad, because my dad is, was a medical radiologist and, into imaging and all that stuff. And so I asked my dad later, I'm like, hey, did you ever, infiltrate my mind with x-rays when I was a baby or something? And he's like, no, I didn't do any of that. And he was, he was almost anti becoming a doctor or anything in healthcare just because he was in it, and he didn't want me to be biased. Oh, just because my dad's doing it, that's what you should do. He's like, no, you do, whatever you like, whatever you enjoy, whatever fulfills you and who you are most congruent with. That was his thing. My mom was more like, you got to be a doctor, or you got to be a lawyer, and, nothing, no chiropractors, nothing like that.
A real doctor.
Yeah, of course. Now I'm not even a real radiologist either. So, but anyway, so that's how it came to be. I did the radiology residency. So chiro school was at National in Chicago, and then radiology was down in LA. And then now I just never thought I'd stay down in LA, but here I am. It's like 20 years later, and I'm still here in Southern California. It's not too bad down here, Ed. As you know, the West Coast is, I think, a little bit better than the East Coast.
Oh, yeah.
we can talk a little more about that later.
Yeah, we could throw East Coast under the bus a little bit later.
Hey, well, so I grew up in Ottawa, right? Grew up in Ottawa, and I was there for 18 years. So, wow. And I thought that was normal weather, and it is for that area, but I don't know what it did to me, but it's made me harsh, I think. So, yeah. So that's professionally where I am, and I, personally, I don't know. I feel like I used to have this distinct, this is personal stuff, and there's this big black line, and then this is business or professional. And I was like, there should be no mixing of the two. And so it's interesting when you ask that question, because now I think it's all mishmashed together, and I'm sure you have that too. You have a lot of friends in the business, and they're, are they your friends, or are they your clients? And
yeah,
and I don't know. It's both for me. It's such an integral portion of my life. I can't escape it. I don't want to escape it. I love the people that I serve, the chiropractors that I serve, and it's such. I'm sure I could come up with other adjectives, but interesting family,
Yeah.
And, in my practice, we kind of serve all chiros. We have our left chiros and our right chiros and everyone in between. And, I don't say no to anyone. I'm of the mentality, at least from my business, well, I guess it's business and personal. I don't say no to anybody. If you have X-rays or any kind of imaging that you need to be read, then, we'll read it. We'll give you a good product, and we'll get it back to you in a reasonable time frame, and hopefully that'll help you and help the patient out.
Is that something that like you see with a lot more docs now, or just like they're like, so they'll have people like yourself who this is literally what you do all day, right? I mean, it's like you look at images and you report back. I mean, is that something that's more common now you're seeing with docs, especially who are doing their own in-house X-ray?
I think so. It's hard to say, and it's probably regional. In California, we had this law passed probably about 8 or 9 years ago now, and it kind of got X-rays out of chiropractic offices because you had to do all this testing, and it was like thousands of dollars to get the equipment to the testing. So I know some chiros that kind of got rid of their X-ray because of that. But I mean, there's still a lot of chiros with X-ray, and I feel like I think it's an important part of the chiropractic practice. And, especially if you're going to be manually adjusting these people, I think it's not a bad idea to get an X-ray before you start, wailing on them or whatever you do. So, and I think, at least from my perspective, I just see there's such a need for the service we provide. A lot of my chiros are more into doing, alignment changes. They look at the X-ray for alignment to help determine where and how to adjust. And, we do that too, but not to the amount of detail that some of these guys do. So, I tell them, hey, no, you should still look at the X-ray. Obviously, you took it in your own office. Look at it for what you need it for, and how to treat or how not to treat or adjust your patient. And then, but send it to us, and we'll make sure there's no bad things in there and no contraindications to adjusting. And we'll get it back to you within a day or two. And I think your patients will like it because it seems a little more professional, and you're using other experts in the field
Mm-hmm.
to help your patients. And so I think it works out well, and hopefully patients like it. I don't know for sure because we don't really. Not only do we not talk to patients, but I don't think I like talking to patients anymore, Ed. I don't know if you ever got that when you're in practice, but it's very tiring to me. I mean, the last time I don't think I ever really practiced. Straight out of school, I went to the radiology thing, and then as I started, I did kind of fill-in work for a couple friends of mine. And,
Yes.
I'd fill in from just whenever they needed someone, and it was kind of fun. But then eventually, as my practice grew, I decreased the time that I had to do fill-in work, and it just eventually got too hard and almost painful to do. And I said, there is no money you can pay me to go back in there again. I'm just doing you a favor. Just don't pay me anything this time, because there's nothing that can. I'm just doing this for you, not for me. So that's what eventually came down to. And now I don't think it'd be right for me to do it anymore, just because I don't know. I think I'd be doing a disservice to the patients.
Because like right now, your main gig is really just reviewing X-rays and making sure like doctors are getting like a detailed report of any images that they're sending you, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we got. I got a team here, not here, but I got a few associates. They all work remotely. And so it's me and a few other guys and gals, and yeah, that's all we do is look at pictures.
Nice. And would you say that you're an introvert?
That's a good question. I definitely was up until maybe I want to say I don't know 05 or 06 or so, and I'll come back to that a little bit later. But I don't know what I am, Ed. I think I'm a hair on the introvert side.
Okay.
And, I always need some time to unwind, and I treasure the kind of downtime by myself, but I don't need it every day, or, I can last days without it, and, I'll recoup later kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I've taken that test. I'm sure you're familiar with the Myers-Briggs type inventory.
Yep.
And half the time I'm, extrovert, just a hair, and then half the time I'm an I, just a hair. So I don't know. Maybe they should do like a case study on me and publish me in a psychology journal, something like that.
I got to tell you, so I'm definitely an introvert, right?
Oh, really?
Oh, completely. People are so disappointed. I was going to say, because people are so disappointed when they meet me in real life, because they're like, wait a second, who's this guy who just stands there against the wall and doesn't say anything? Because
no, I had you pegged as an extra.
I know. That's why people are like disappointed. Yeah.
Well, I'm not disappointed. It's, I'm going to turn on a light here if you don't mind.
Sure. No problem. No problem.
You are what you are, right? I don't think that, I don't know, maybe it can be changed. I don't know. So I was saying, I don't know if I'm allowed to, I don't know, kind of go off the tangent a little bit.
Sure.
Here. But so the reason I think I changed in 05 or 06 is because I had a serious, relationship issue. I got divorced in 05 or 06, and I was kind of EI. Actually, I remember in 1997, this is when I started chiropractic school, and they had us take that Myers-Briggs test, and I was ESTJ. On the border E, and STJ was like hardcore 95% STJ. I don't know what it means, but it's like super objective, analytical, fact-based, no emotions, nothing like that. And then, boom, came the divorce and all the associated stuff with that. And I took it again during that time, and I was INFP or something, like complete opposite. So it's situational, right? Yes. I think at least, and I think it can change, quantifiably with time. I don't know what I am now. Maybe I'm back to ESTJ now. Who knows?
People have no idea what we're talking about right now. So
sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm
Doesn't
just kidding.
everyone know this stuff?
I know, you would think so, but it's completely true. Is like, people like myself who, I'm in a 600 square foot my office here, and I sit in front of a computer all day. And I'm just imagining that you have something similar. You're in a room, you're in front of a computer screen all day, and and this is our life, but we also have this life. Here. Yeah, there you go. And so we have this life where we have this secluded life. Yet, also when I check out your Facebook page, you have this, you have live events and you have a certain persona that you have online, and, you have a following and these types of things. So I just find it interesting. There's people like you and I who kind of stepped away from practice. We're doing these things, yet the appearance is like, that we're extroverted. Well, we really spend a lot of time alone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't miss the interact. Well, yeah, I do miss a little bit of the social interaction, and I'm just small minor detail, but I used to accept X-rays, like I said, obviously from all chiropractors, but if a patient contacted us directly, we would also try to help them too. And but I would charge double just because it would take more time. And then eventually, just a year or so ago, I decided that even double the money wasn't worth it. And so I would just say, no, sorry, you got to go through your chiro or some medical doctor or something if you really need to, to get our service. And we're not going to charge you double or triple, and it's just not worth it for us to. This sounds terrible.
It's real talk. Someone just commented here. They're like, this is real talk. So here's the thing. I'm going to take, so we have a specific interview flow, but I'm going to take that challenge that you dropped, that personal challenge as the SHIT sandwich that we all eat in our life, and we learn something from it. And I mean, but what I want to do is back up to one thing. I want to circle back on a quote, words of positivity and affirmation. Could even be, you could quote yourself, like channel Gandhi if you want. Like, so give me some words of positivity or meaning for the docs.
Oh, I remember that question. One of the things that I'm just going to sound very practical or pragmatic is, I remember my dad saying, you must have said it multiple times because it was the answer for like almost everything. He's like, get organized. You just have to be organized and you can get this stuff done. And so, I mean, I'm not the most organized person in the world, but it's so many times in my life, if I was just a little more organized, if I just planned a little bit better, I could have avoided this crisis or whatever. Of course, if a crisis happens, I try to see the positivity out of it, but it still rings true today. And I mean, I specifically remember asking my dad, I must have been, I don't know, a toddler, 4 or 5 years old or something. And, my dad, I remember when he showered, he'd be in and out in there in like 3 minutes or something. I'm like, and I was just, I think, learning to bathe or shower myself. I'm like, how do you do it so fast? He's like, you got to get organized. That's what you have to do. So
there's a system.
That's how I shower now. It's like, there's a system. There's an order to it. There's a way to do it efficiently and effectively. So anyway, that's, well,
I would imagine that's the same in your business though. Like what you do, like if I remember correctly, I mean, like there's a system, you have to be pragmatic when you're reading an image. Right?
Yeah, you do. So that rings true as well. I have a system for a plain film spine X-ray. I have a system for MRI of the knee. What things am I going to knock down? Just make sure everything's okay. And because when you're busy and you're reading through these things, or when you're in practice and you have patients looking over your shoulder, you just want to get it done and you got to move on to the next patient. But that's when you miss things, I feel like, and that's when and hopefully you won't miss anything pertinent, but it happens all the time. And we see it in our practice too. So,
well, I mean, so this is actually a perfect segue into, where we start to really kind of discuss like what's really cool that you're doing. But, so if I go, like, if I'm a doc and I go and I attend your live event, am I attending the live event to really just kind of hone and to sharpen my skills, like my image skills, or is there something else that you're teaching?
well, typically when I speak, it's all about educating the chiros, and it's how do I do it, or how I think as a clinician you should be doing it. And one of the things I like to say is, and you should look at every X-ray or any imaging, MRI or CT scan. You should look at it 2 times. What, why would you look at something 2 times? It's not going to change from, right? It's the same picture, but your frame of mind, I think, really it changes things. So the first time you look at it, you want to forget about all the information about your patient. Forget about their name, forget about what they look like, forget where their pain is, how they're paying for it, and you just look at the picture. And so that'll do a couple of things. I think it'll force you to become thorough. And so then you look at the whole picture, right? Don't get caught by what we call corner shots, right? The little thing in the corner that you think is inconsequential because that's not where the pain is, but maybe it is consequential, and you better figure it out. So so that's your first look. You look at it first without any biased information, and then when you look at it again the second time, that's when you reinsert all that information back in. Where's their pain? What are they complaining about?
Interesting.
And then it shouldn't change the meat of your report, but I think it'll make it better. I think it'll sharpen your report a little bit better. That's what I do, and that's how we train. I'm pretty sure every DAC bar and maybe every medical radiologist trains like that too. And yeah,
interesting. Because like I remember when I was in practice, we would send out and we would get a report back. So medical radiologist would review report. And honestly, I could tell you right now, it would make me a little bit lazy. You know what I mean? Because you're like, there's no gross abnormalities or whatever whatever they're saying. And then you would go in and you would look, from the chiropractic lens as to what's going on. But it would, it would force you, at least I found it would be like, okay, well, I stopped kind of going through those pragmatic checks. And I guess I would just rely on the fact that a radiologist is going to tell me there's nothing, outside of, like there's no tumors, right? You know what I mean?
Nothing bad.
Yeah. So I could see that, even chiropractors who are doing their X-rays in-house, or whether they're sending out and they're getting a report back. I mean, this is something that everyone should be honing their skills and doing so that you can still keep those skills sharp and recognize.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea. I mean, I don't know if it's, I kind of think it's worse in the US and probably worse in Southern California. But our imaging centers we have so many down here. There's a lot of competition and they're busy. And so, these medical radiologists that are working at the imaging centers, they're not spending a whole lot of time looking at these X-rays. And, I could give you numbers that would just baffle your mind. So they're just looking at, the big bad things. And, med legally, you're okay. But, med legally I don't think is a great way to I don't think is a good standard to have. I'm more about exposing, or not exposing, but disclosing the truth. I want to know everything and everything possible about this one X-ray. I don't know what its significance is, but I'm going to mention it in the report in case it is significant, because I don't have the full picture, right? You would have the full picture of where their pain is, or what, if they're complaining about anything. But I feel it's my job to mention any potential abnormalities. It could be a normal variant, but we would still mention it anyway.
Okay, so this is totally off script. You ready? I'm going to just ask you questions that I've always wanted answers for. Okay, so here's what I've heard. Maybe this is a myth. I don't know. You tell me. You know,
All
when you
right.
go and you get your X-ray done at a dentist, right?
Okay.
And they do that full scan, like it actually goes like completely around, right? The X-ray.
Yeah.
They do the whole full dental scan. So that amount of exposure versus a spinal, like a spinal X-ray, let's just say like a C-spine or something like that, like your typical series, like, is there really a difference in exposure there, or like there's more with the dental image, or there's less, or because I always hear different, conflicting answers on that.
Oh, I don't know to be honest, I don't know the exact answer to that, but they're all anything that's plain X-ray, if it doesn't involve like fluoroscopy, or even if it does involve fluoroscopy or DMX, some people call it DMX, these are all low amounts of radiation. And I don't think it's a popular opinion, but I actually don't think that these low levels amounts of radiation, from plain X-ray, I don't think they're as harmful as we were told they were. And so there's some articles out now that kind of challenge the notion. Some people could take it so far and say that radiation is actually good for you. Like, I don't know if that's true.
It's like vitamins.
Yeah, who knows? Just take everyone's go get a cervical spine X-ray or something. And feel better after. So I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I mean, I think there just needs to be a little more research or something from smarter people to kind of find out what the deal is. Obviously, high levels of radiation, are harmful. We know that, but where's the line where it's below this is okay, and above that is probably not okay. I think that's where it is, and I think we're close with medical or diagnostic imaging, because we see radiation induced things with too many CT scans or bone scans and things like that. So it's in our realm, so to speak, but if we stick with X-rays, I think you're probably okay.
So CT is definitely is a higher risk though, right?
Oh yeah, so CT is definitely higher radiation dose and higher risk, especially if you have multiple CTs over a short period of time, and it depends on what you're imaging as well, right? Your thyroid is a radiation sensitive tissue, the lens of your eye, anything with a lot of cell turnover, your GI tract. So those are all more radiation sensitive. So it's kind of a complicated question,
yes.
But we don't. I don't think we know the exact answer.
Yeah.
So the conservative standpoint from the national agencies is just to kind of avoid it altogether, and so I think that's why it's like that, is because they've known all these injuries and burns and what have you happened because of X-ray back in the past. That now they're like, okay, let's just avoid it altogether.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if you really need to do that, because X-ray could help you too at the same time. Obviously,
well, yeah.
right?
I mean, there's instances where it saves people's lives, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
like, I mean, you can't, like, there's just, how else would you be able to evaluate and see what's going on, right? There's nothing else like that.
I mean, you could get a sorry.
It's all right.
My auto shut off. That's my the light in my bathroom actually, Ed. So it shuts off by itself.
No problem. Yeah. Because I remember even I had to go for a CT, and I remember one of the radiologists complaining, just saying, like, I can't believe why are these people sending these like young patients for CT? Like, yeah. So I mean, I think it's kind of an assumed thing. And, when I was in practice, it's more like the question, to kind of bring it back. And the question is like, like plain film X-rays. I mean, it's a low level risk, and it's relatively like what we would say safe, I guess you could say. I mean, which is what we've always been saying, I think most of us as chiros have been consistently saying for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is. I mean, there's people in my community, in the radiology community, that are just so anti-radiation that I think it might even hurt people, right? Because they're not getting the necessary X-rays or CT scans. So I think, I don't know, with time, I don't know how long it's going to take, but eventually we'll find out what the right, dose is, or how many X-rays
what that looks like. Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your upcoming event? So you have an event so you're skiing and doing training.
Yes. Doing what? Oh, training?
Well, you're lecturing and you're going to be skiing. So you're combining the best of both worlds.
Yes, we are almost at the same time. And I'll try, if I forget, remind me. But so this is my 7th time doing it.
Wow.
And it's really because I love skiing, and skiing is expensive, and I'd like to make it a business expense. And these days it's a little bit harder for me to get out, to ski for a weekend. We have a 3-year-old, so I don't know if you remember, your kids were that young, or but it's a little bit harder for me to get out these days. But this is, it's a work thing. So I tell my wife, I gotta do it. It's work. What can I do?
Of course, yeah. It's like gambling in Vegas. Go on.
how can you not, right? So they usually come with me. Sometimes they come, sometimes they don't. But yeah, so we have it's a weekend event at Mammoth Mountain in California, and it's not just me speaking. I have a few other speakers come, and they just about anything. It could be nutrition, it could be neurology, it could be well, in California we have different hourly requirements, ethics and law, physical exam and stuff like that. So we usually have about 4 or 5 speakers or so, and because we have to leave time for skiing, we don't have there's nothing formal between usually 8:45 in the morning till 4 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah, so it makes for a long day. We get up, we have class starting at about 7 a.m. Till about 8:45, and then we come back again at 4 o'clock and go for a few hours. But new this year, and I don't know if it's actually going to happen because it's in the application process. So I'm a CE provider in California. And so I've submitted this course. It's for 3 hours, and in my course description, I said, there's a part where you have to say how you're going to deliver your material. Is it a PowerPoint? Is it a webinar, or whatever? So I said it's a live in-person seminar during an outdoor activity. And so I don't know if it's going to be approved or not. If it does, that means we could do CE while we're skiing, or whatever, going up the chairlift. So that's it. That's the potential bonus this year, and is I really hope I can get it done, and I think it would just be fun.
That's a great idea. Okay. All right, everyone, meet at the top. We're going to talk about the pelvis evaluation.
Yeah, whatever.
Pelvis for 10 minutes. See you at the bottom after that.
See you at the bottom. Yeah. For more, right?
For more. Yes. Stay tuned. That's your hook in the marketing terms. Your hook is you have to make it to the bottom, and I'll tell you, I'll give you the rest of the information.
That's right.
Love it.
Come down to the bottom intact, and then we'll top more.
Without breaking anything. Love it. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Anyone who's a listener right now, or could be a viewer, head over to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com. We're going to have a webpage dedicated to our discussion with Dr. Tao today, and we're going to have a link to his website. And if you're actually watching, I've posted the link to the Facebook page as well for Dr. Cliff Tao. So you can check out the event. You can ask any questions you might have about it, or even possibly go sign up right now. Okay. So I want to take you now. I'm going to put you into the TCP time machine. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. So here we go. So I'm going to put you in the TCP time machine. We're going to send you back to a younger version of yourself. Now you have all the current knowledge and life experience that you have today. Now you go back to that younger self. You just graduated chiropractic college. What would you say to that younger self?
Oh man, so many things. I mean, so I would probably do the same thing, do the radiology residency. I'd probably, take care of my then girlfriend and wife a little bit better, so I wouldn't have to go through that. It wasn't nasty, but it was a divorce nonetheless, and it was a bad and low time in my life. So that would hopefully survive this through this time machine thing. And then, from a business perspective, I didn't mention this earlier, but I kind of suffered for years because I had no idea about how the business world worked. I think I know a little better now. I was almost kind of anti-business or anything that made money. To be honest, I didn't like taking money from people, especially my own colleagues. That I know we suffered together and all that. But you're providing a service, and now I think I'm a little better at it. But it took me years to figure it out, and I think I'm still figuring it out. But so better business sense and better personal relationship sense too.
I love it. Love it. And I can't remember who I heard say this, but I mean, it's like who was it? It was either in the marketing, coaching, consulting world, but it was like you were honoring people by taking their money. Like when they invest in you, you were actually honoring them by doing that. Because like you probably realize this, and I know docs, we've had even this conversation about, adjusting your services and not billing enough or whatever it is. Yeah. And it all comes down to value, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you're honoring
value.
Perceived value. Yeah.
Right. Some people don't think it's of any value. And then there's some, right. So those are the people who are like, maybe it won't work out, you and I, but so
well, if we do our job,
as being done.
If we do our job right, hopefully the perceived value is there. I get it. Yeah. Okay. So thank you for that. Now, the next portion, it's really actually pretty simple. I'm going to ask you for a resource, and it's like a book you're reading, something you're listening to, maybe a coach you've had or following. Could be your favorite Netflix film. I don't know, like a resource where everyone should go, and they should go and consume this right now.
Oh man, I remember reading that in your preamble, and I to be honest, I couldn't think of anything. But the first thing that popped in my head, you're gonna hate this, is Google.
Oh.
I feel like that's all I use when I'm like, oh, what is the name of that condition? We had this one this morning that I sent to one of my colleagues, and he's like, I think that's meloriostosis, right? Do you remember what meloriostosis is?
God, no. I probably if I saw it in a textbook, but no.
Yeah, exactly. Like couldn't even remember how to spell it right.
Yeah.
So after Google, and so there's that Google, which I think everyone uses anyway. But there was one book I read, and this was years ago, and I don't know who wrote it, but the title was something like "Never Eat Alone," and it was about you use every opportunity you have to share a meal with someone, for the purposes of building a relationship, networking, whatever you want to call it. And so you should never eat alone. You should always have someone lined up where you can have lunch or breakfast or dinner or dessert or a drink or something. And so that's kind of been, in the back of my mind all the time. When I get lonely here, I call out someone for lunch. Yeah. When I'm not fasting, I fast most of the time. So I don't even eat lunch anymore most of the time. So
yeah. Maybe that's a success secret too. I won't eat until I fast the entire day until after 3:00.
Hey, me too. Doesn't it make sense? You get an extra hour or so of work in there, and you save a few bucks, and I don't know. I love it. I love it. It makes so much sense for me. It doesn't make sense for my wife. She's like, I don't think this was meant for a woman to do. I'm like, not for you, but
Yeah. I mean, and here's the crazy thing is too, is like, I mean, like someone like yourself, like there's a lot, like your brain consumes a lot of calories, right? And so like, I know that by like, and cause I'm working, creating, doing things like this all day. By 3 o'clock, then it is like, okay, all of a sudden I have a mental collapse. So I do have to start putting the calories back in. But it works for me too. And I mean, actually I find it keeps me really crystal clear until 3 o'clock. Focused.
Yeah. I used to have to nap in the afternoons, and now I don't nap. I mean, I started drinking coffee too. Maybe that helps, but I haven't had a nap in a long time. You know, you say you got up at 5:30. I went to bed at 4:05 this morning.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, part of it is because I put the toddler to sleep, and I usually fall asleep before he does, and then when I wake up, it's like midnight and I can't go to sleep. So I just do work for a few hours. And so it's like that almost. It's not 4 a.m. every night, but the last night was an exception.
It's like a curse though, and a gift, isn't it? That we can just get up and work. I had one of those instances. I was 2 a.m. I'm like, well, this sleeping thing isn't going to work. And then I just literally got up and I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to create, work on this funnel I'm working on. And so, I mean, it's a curse and it's like a gift. And I love having the freedom, but still, yeah. Yeah,
I know what you mean. Well, it gives us a little bit of flexibility, but the flexibility goes both ways, right? You can be flexible in your free time, but flexible in your productive / work time too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to thank you for being on the TCB podcast today, dropping incredible value. I hope docs actually go check out, like your Facebook page. Okay, so docs, if you're listening right now, you can actually expand open on your mobile phone, and we'll have the links directly to those resources. So to Dr. Tao's, both his URL, like his website, and his Facebook page. You can check out some more information there. If you're actually on our site, so thechiropracticphilanthropist.com, we'll have the links there as well. So thanks so much, Doc. Yeah, it's been a great conversation. I'm starting to pull, like I was starting to actually have all those thoughts of reading Xrays again. It's quite, I actually think I have to do some new continuing ed hours. I may have to do some of that. So it's actually, but it'll be fun for me. I'm really excited about it.
Oh, come down to Mammoth if you
maybe. Yeah, maybe I will. So yeah, thanks for giving back today, and appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. No, it's been an honor to be here. I know you've had a lot of big wigs on here, so I'm no big wig. So I was actually kind of anxious, preparing for this, and so you made it all so seamless and effortless. It really made me feel comfortable and almost at home. Well, I am at home. But,
well, thank you for that. Thank you.
So you've heard the struggles, you've heard the successes, and this episode is done. But there's still so much more to come and so much more to learn. Head on over to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com and sign up for our newsletter, where you'll receive free practice building tips and strategies, including how to market your practice with your very own podcast and so much more. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on The Chiropractic Philanthropist.